Hey everybody, Rich here, Rich's Custom Marine and Auto. Crazy hair day. Today we're working on a 2008 Ford Edge. Customer concern on this one is that the oil light came on, engine was noisy. They took it to an oil change place and they topped up the oil. The oil light went off and they drove the vehicle home. So when I went and got it with a trailer. The oil light is off. The oil level is probably a quarter of a quart below the full mark, so it's in the hash mark, the safe area, and everything seems fine. The engine's quiet. No check engine light codes associated with the engine. So I don't know how much oil was added. Customer claims that it was just a top up, which I take that to mean not very much, but I'm more inclined to think it was actually quite a bit, probably even a couple of quarts, because for the engine and valve train to be noisy and all that, kind of seems like it's an actual problem. One of the things that these are known for is, I don't know how well I'm going to be able to show this, the oil pressure sensor is down there. I'll try and get a shot from the bottom. What happens with these is, and it happens to a lot of them, my Dodge truck did it, the oil pressure sensor will bleed through over time and it will start giving erroneous readings that there's no oil pressure. Again, I think this was an actual low oil pressure scenario, but when I took the connector off, it was quite full of oil. Okay, so you can just see in the middle of the screen there, that's the oil pressure switch connector is up in there. You'll have to take my word for it, but so what my plan is, I'm going to pull that oil pressure switch out of there and I'm going to put my direct reading gauge in there, and I'll look up in all data and see what the oil pressure is supposed to be. And then we're going to start this thing up and see what the actual oil pressure is. And like I said, I am going to go ahead and replace that sensor because it is leaking through. Even though that's an unrelated issue, it would be an issue in the future. Also, because the customer reported that the engine was noisy, rattling, I did cut the filter open and drain the oil in the filter through a coffee filter, as you can see there, and through this strainer. In reality, I was pretty relieved at what I saw. Now that's carbon, which isn't great, but I'll tell you what, it is great when you thought you might be seeing metal bearing material. So that's not a big deal. It actually was a relief that it looked really good. So let me get that oil pressure sensor off of there, and I've got this, it's a Harbor Freight deal, Pittsburgh oil pressure tester. It's got my LS adapter on there still, but it's one of these guys, I forget which one, maybe it's that one, that fits this vehicle, and then the 1/4 inch National pipe thread of that will just thread into the back of this, and then we'll fire it up and see. Okay, so I was able to get that oil pressure sensor out of there, and then I don't know how well that's going to show, but it's got oil down inside of it. So like I said, inside of these things they have a seal, because oil pressure there just moves the diaphragm inside, moves it back and forth, and there's a bridge circuit that gives the signal to the computer into the dash, and they just start to weep through some fairly fairly common thing. So at this point, I'm ready to go ahead and put that direct reading gauge on there and see what the actual pressure is. Alright, so let's see if we can locate some of these leaks under here. Obviously we got some oil there, oil there. So looking underneath here, I look up on the block. The block is dry up in there, and we've got oil showing on the oil pan bolts. So I think what I'm going to do is make a lap around the oil pan bolts and see if they're loose. If they're not, then that thing may have to come back off and be resealed, because I believe that's the style that they don't use a gasket, that they just use RTV on it. Okay guys, so none of those oil pan bolts were loose, none of the front cover. It looked to me like it was leaking from, or weeping really. It's not like it's dripping. It doesn't even leave a drip on the floor overnight. But it's weeping from the front seal, the rear seal, and then it looks like the pan on the back side of the pan. I know I said I was going to show what the oil pressure did, and then I was here by myself, so it was cold. Now this is 5W20, so it's pretty thin anyways, but cold, it was 86 psi. So what do you think? Way over in there. So I mean, anything over 20 warm at idle is good, so I guarantee you it'll be good. So clearly I think this thing just kind of weeped out oil over time, and customer may not be checking their fluids on a regular basis, which will be a conversation I'll have with them, and that's something to share with you guys. Personally, I don't care if it's a brand new vehicle or if it's 30 years old. Go out and check your fluids once a week. And you know, like on this one, the dipstick's right here for the engine oil, really easy. You know, people will go under the hood and they'll make sure that their washer fluid's full, which that's important so you can see and all that. Well, while you're there, you know, check your coolant level, check power steering level, you know, just check the things that you can. A lot of the newer vehicles don't have a transmission dipstick, and you need to have it running and up to temperature anyways to check that, but that's easy. So one of the times you come home in the afternoon or evening or whatever else, just pull up, leave it running, grab a paper towel, wipe that dipstick off, and check it if it has the dipstick. So save yourself a lot of heartache and potentially a lot of money, because you run an engine out of oil, you don't have very long before it's going to have to be replaced, because it starts tearing the bearings up and eating itself. So I think that's going to be a wrap on the oil situation here. So again, finding no metal in that filter media was excellent.